Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching World Today. Now let's begin with the Iran-Israel conflict that doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon. After US President Donald Trump said that the conflict could restart, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in his first video message following US strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites, said that the Islamic Republic could respond to any future attack by striking American military bases in the Middle East, or what we call West Asia. This is also the first
I feel it is necessary to offer congratulations to the great nation of Iran. I extend several congratulations to the people. One is for the victory over the fake Zionist regime. Despite all the noise and all the claims, the Zionist regime was nearly brought to its knees and crushed under the blows of the Islamic Republic. The Islamic Republic of Iran delivered a hard slap to the face of America. It attacked one of America's key bases in the region. The same people who had exaggerated in that previous case tried to downplay this one, saying nothing had happened, while in reality, something significant had occurred. The fact that the Islamic Republic has access to the important American centers in the region and strike them whenever it deems necessary is no small matter. It is a major development, and this is an event that could very well be repeated in the future. If aggression occurs, the cost for both the enemy and protester will certainly be high.
This is also the first televised address by the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, when he said, and his remarks are the first ones where he's saying and talking about the ceasefire, and that since a ceasefire was reached between Iran and Israel, this is the first time he's saying that there could be an attack by Iran. The 86-year-old leader noted that Iran had fired on the largest US base in the region, located in Qatar, after Washington joined the Israeli strikes. Now, days after US struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites, Iran's parliament passed a bill that would effectively suspend the country's cooperation with the IAEA. Here's a report.
Iranian parliament passed a bill that would effectively suspend the country's cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. The legislation bars IAEA inspectors from entering Iran for verification activities unless Iran's nuclear facility security and peaceful nuclear energy rights are guaranteed.
Despite the recent attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities, the International Atomic Energy Agency has not condemned them, not even superficially. It has undermined the agency's international credibility, and for this reason, the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran is suspending its cooperation with the agency until the security of its nuclear facilities is guaranteed and Iran's peaceful nuclear program will proceed at a faster pace.
The bill was passed a day after the UN nuclear watchdog called for the restart of inspections in Iran.
As soon as I learned there was a ceasefire, I wrote to Dr. Abbas Araghchi, whom I know very well, the Iranian Minister of Foreign Affairs. I said, well, we'll have a ceasefire, conditions will improve, we need to sit down. I didn't say I'll come immediately to inspect, etc.
Meanwhile, Russia, which has a strategic partnership with Iran, wants Tehran to continue its cooperation with the IAEA.
I cannot comment on the decision by the Iranian parliament to stop cooperation with the IAEA. After all, this decision is just a recommendation for the executive branch of power. We are interested in Iran's cooperation with the IAEA continuing.
Iran insists it will not give up its civilian nuclear program in the wake of the massive attacks on the country by Israel and the United States. The move comes days after US brokered a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, ending 12 days of fierce hostilities, which also included an intensive US military intervention that struck 3 Iranian nuclear facilities on the 22nd of June. With Neha Kumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, in a second press conference following U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth defended the strikes on Iran. He criticized the media coverage of early intelligence assessments of the impact of the bombing on the nuclear facilities. Hegseth described the strikes as historic. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, briefed alongside the Defense Secretary. They both reiterated the mission of the pilots was indeed a success. Hegseth pointed out that the claims of Trump administration of the nuclear sites being obliterated were based on the capability of the weapons. Hegseth said an early assessment from the Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA, a part of the Defense Department, was preliminary and that the report acknowledged there was low confidence and gaps in information. CIA Director John Ratcliffe also asserted that there was credible intelligence that Iran's nuclear program had been severely damaged. Trump administration has been furious over a leaked intelligence report which said while the U.S. strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities did significant damage, the sites were not totally destroyed and that Tehran's program was only a setback for a few months. U.S. stealth bombers dropped 12 deep penetrator bombs on Iran's Fordo uranium enrichment site and 2 on Natanz. A U.S. official told Associated Press. The official spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss military operations.
But ultimately, we're here to clarify what these weapons are capable of because no one's under there right now. No one's under there able to assess, and everyone's using reflections of what they see. And that's why the Israelis, the Iranians, the IAEA, the UN, to a man and to a woman who recognize the capability of this weapon system are acknowledging how destructive it's been.
General, on Sunday you said final battle damage will take some time. And you also said, I think BDA is still pending, and it would be way too early for me to comment on what may or may not still be there at the nuclear facility. So that was just over 3 days ago. So what has changed? Would you use the term obliterated as well?
Sure, like I said, we don't do BDA. I'll refer that to the intelligence community. The IC should be able to help you answer that question. They look at a variety, as the Secretary has alluded to, we look at a variety of things. I don't do that. They do. All different sources of intel, which I'd refer you to them to get clarity on.
Now, Zoran Mamdani is making news. He may have won New York City's Democratic mayoral primaries, but he has emerged as a big polarizing figure both in America and in India. Donald Trump himself has branded Mamdani a 100% communist lunatic, is what he's referred to Mamdani as. The MAGA base is having a meltdown even as we speak. But in India, from BJP's Kangana Ranaut to Congress's Abhishek Manu Singhvi, they have called out Mamdani as a pro-Pakistani man and a Pakistani agent.
I am Donald Trump's worst nightmare as a progressive Muslim immigrant who actually fights for the things that I believe in.
Lesser known among New Yorkers sometime back, Zoran Mamdani, with his ideologies, has risen to challenge Donald Trump's brand of politics. Son of acclaimed filmmaker Meera Nair, Mamdani defeated Andrew Cuomo, who attempted to make a comeback to the political arena, failed after he conceded defeat.
History. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it.
My name is Assemblymember
Mamdani, who's a Democratic Party's nominee for New York City's mayor, has campaigned on the plight of working-class New Yorkers and their struggle to afford skyrocketing costs of housing and childcare.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage.
But his nomination has upset President Trump, who called Mamdani 100% communist lunatic. Trump also criticized other progressive leaders who supported Mamdani. His political stance has drawn the attention of voters. His stand on Gaza has been very clear, referring to Israel's offensive on Gazans as genocide. He vowed to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he were to come to the city. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for the Israeli premier last year. 33-year-old Mamdani, a member of Democratic Socialists of America, is being seen by the progressives as a youthful and bold candidate to catapult the party to a better position.
And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism. Together, New York, we have renewed our democracy. We have given our city permission to believe again. And I pledge to you that we will remake this great city, not in my image, but in the image of every New Yorker who has only known struggle. In our New York, the power belongs to the people.
From DC to Delhi, Zoran Mamdani has united both the ruling dispensation and the opposition in India. BJP MP Kangana Ranaut took a Hinduism jab at Mamdani, declaring that he sounds more Pakistani than Indian. The actor turned politician also shared an old video where Mamdani was raining anti-Hindu slogans.
My name is Zoran Mamdani. I am a candidate for New York State Assembly District 36, Astoria, Dipmar Steinway, Astoria Heights. I'm here today to protest against the BJP government in India. I'm here with my Sikh brothers and sisters. We have other protesters on the other side.
While Zoran Mamdani has been cashing in on his Desi roots, his controversial comments on Prime Minister Modi and his hot takes on the Babri demolition and the Ram Mandir have earned him the tag of a foreign meddler pushing propaganda from the Indian right wing. The last Democrat New York mayor was Eric Adams, and he withdrew from the Democratic primary rerun. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has reiterated India's stand against cross-border terrorism at the SCO Defence Ministers meeting. Rajnath Singh refused to sign any document that sought to dilute and downplay India's concerns over terrorism after the Pahalgam terror attack.
In a bold move by India, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh refused to sign the Shanghai Cooperation Organization document that would have weakened India's stand on terrorism and the Pahalgam terror attack. According to sources, China and its all-weather friend Pakistan tried to divert the attention from terrorism in the SCO document, skipping any mention of the Pahalgam terror attack. However, the document mentioned militant activities in Balochistan.
Certain member countries could not reach consensus on certain issues, and hence the document could not be finalized. On our side, India wanted concerns on terrorism reflected in the document, which was not acceptable to one particular country, and therefore the statement was not adopted.
Pakistan has repeatedly accused India of backing Balochistan freedom movement, allegations which are categorically denied by India. The SCO summit, which was held in Qingdao, China, saw the Indian and the Pakistani defence ministers come face to face for the first time since the Pahalgam attack and Operation Sindoor. In his address at the SCO summit, Singh launched an all-out attack on Pakistan without naming it.
Peace and prosperity cannot coexist with terrorism and the proliferation of weapons of the mass destruction in the hands of the non-state actors and the terror groups. It is imperative that those who sponsor, nurture, and utilize terrorism for their narrow and selfish ends must bear the consequences. Some countries use cross-border terrorism as an instrument of policy and provide shelter to terrorists. There should be no place for such double standards. SCO should not hesitate to criticize such nations.
He also raked up the April 22nd terror attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam, stressing that its pattern matched with Lashkar-e-Taiba's previous strikes in India.
On 22nd April 2025, the terror group, the Resistance Front, carried out a dastardly and a heinous attack on the innocent tourists in Pahalgam. Victims were shot after they were profiled based on the religious identity. The Resistance Front, which is a proxy of UN-designated terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba, claimed responsibility for the attack.
The summit brought together defense ministers from the organization's 10 member states, including China, Russia, Pakistan, and India. With Rajnath Singh's firm stand on terrorism, the SCO Defence Ministers meeting concluded without any joint statement from the participants due to divergence on the issue of terrorism. With Neha Kumari, Bureau Report, India Today.
Has the Indo-Pak rivalry held the SCO format hostage? To discuss this and more, I'm being joined by former High Commissioner of India to Pakistan and somebody who's held a very senior position at the Eurasia Division, Ambassador Ajay Bisaria. Thank you so much, Ambassador Bisaria, for joining us. Now, the entire joint statement has not been put out unanimously because India said there has to be reference of terrorism, particularly to do with Pahalgam, while Pakistan brought up Balochistan.
Thanks, Geeta, for having me. I think it's a significant development. It is important for India that in any multilateral or plurilateral or minilateral that it is represented, its basic sensitivities and core concerns should be taken into account. And this is clearly a situation where there is a vested interest at play within the SCO, which is refusing to acknowledge India's key concerns. It is like having a G7 summit after a month after 9/11 and saying that, no, we're not going to refer to 9/11 because that doesn't fit into our agenda. So I think this is something that is unacceptable to India, and that is why I'm sure India has rejected the joint statement and refused to sign it.
But what is of particular interest over here, and somebody who has actually been in the Russia division as well, when India and Pakistan were joining SCO, there was a clear message from Russia and China, the two big powers in this bloc, that the Indo-Pak rivalry and the bilateral problems should not become an impediment for the format, for SCO.
Yes, so I think there's a different dynamic at play here, because the SCO, is a multilateral body, it's a plurilateral body, and not all your concerns will be reflected all the time in every document. And that is understood. India understands it as well as any other country. Also, there's a minilateral or multilateral dharma, and that dharma says that you leave bilateral issues at the doorstep as you enter the multilateral room. And, that is the nature of the process. That is how multilateralism is taken forward. But in this case, we are talking of a terrorist incident in a body which claims that it has a regional anti-terrorism structure, the RATS, and it has a commitment towards fighting terrorism in the region. It has a counter-terrorism agenda, a robust one, where all countries cooperate. So not mentioning a recent terrorist incident is something that was and should be unacceptable to India. There is a way of finding acceptable language, but of not including it at all. I don't know what dynamics were at work, but there was certainly some strong vested interest at play,
Right.
with Pakistan obviously trying to use Chinese influence, persuade the hosts that it should not be in. And I think India is right to put its foot down at such insensitivity.
Right, but this is just the defense ministers meeting. There'll be the foreign ministers, heads of state, heads of government. Are we to anticipate that these are the kind of statements that Pakistan will also try to do, push its agenda? Because I'm hearing a lot of Balochistan more than ever before.
Well, you know, it really exposes Pakistan's agenda as well, doesn't it? Because if you're saying don't mention a certain terrorist incident, it is exposing a certain agenda. There can be a mention of a terrorist incident without necessarily mentioning the country that is the perpetrator. So I don't know what dynamics went behind the drafting. But to leave it out altogether from what we've seen so far seems quite unacceptable. I think you will have India pushing back wherever its core interests are not covered. This is not the first time in a multilateral meeting that one country has a item of core interest which it wants to push through and doesn't agree on a statement or asks the secretariat or the hosts to change the format of the kind of public communication in order to reflect the fact that this doesn't represent a unanimous view. So I think India will push back. India should push back. That's the nature of the game. You may accept to take more diluted language on certain issues, but to have some core concern deliberately being erased is something that would not be acceptable.
Right. Ambassador Ajay Bisaria, thank you so much for joining us here on the network. The message very clear from India that it's not just talks and terror can't go together. It's the message that even when it comes to terrorism and cross-border terrorism, it needs to be acknowledged and recognized. On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on World Today.